Hello and welcome back. If you are a tax professional or an accountant and you have a small team, definitely want to watch this video because I'm going to be showing you how you can use automation and TaxDome more specifically to make a more streamlined and efficient team and possibly even create more client capacity. Because what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate all of that administrative hassle, the admin work, the manual work, the tracking things down, the things that make our businesses feel chaotic at times. We're going to eliminate all of that by centralizing all of your client details, all of your client actions, and all of your team tasks and actions into one streamlined place. If we haven't had the chance to meet yet, I'm Jamie Gruhl, and after helping over 500 tax and accounting practices implement automation with TaxDome, I can confidently say that automation is the only way to increase your profit and time freedom in your practice. So let's take a look today at a few of our favorite features that really help to empower the small business owner with a small team to work more effectively, more efficiently, and possibly even be able to increase your revenues and definitely reduce the amount of time your team is spending by eliminating a lot of those tasks that are the time sucks. They really are. So let's take a look at the first one. And the first one I want to share with you is this. It is the centralized nature of TaxDome. So TaxDome, if you haven't been around the tool much, is an all-in-one tool. This means, in addition to the amazing automations we'll look at, it also allows you for document management and storage. It allows you for client relationship management information. So the details, the small details that you learn about your clients along the relationship that you have with them, and allows you to have one centralized place to keep this. Now, I know as I was building my business, it was really easy to just start taking notes here and there and in notebooks and in docs, Google Docs, and sometimes in my CRM, and it just was not consistent. And so what using something like TaxDome means is that we get to have everything in one place. We set the expectation for ourselves, ourselves especially, and our team to have everything documented within the TaxDome system. Because what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to streamline the information gathering that we need to do as we're actually servicing those clients. So I wanted to start today by sharing with you the TaxDome account view. So this is your individual client account. We're looking at Kim and Andy Bernard here. They are my test client. And what this is going to do is allows me to have all of my actions that have been taken place in TaxDome, in addition to the details that I have found important, put into one place right here in the TaxDome system. Now, we have gone over in other videos how you can manage your client account. There's lots of details available to you out there on that in our other videos. But today I wanted to really just focus on how having this information at your fingertip reduces the hunt time. I don't know about you, but there's been many times where I've been like, I know there's this piece of information out there and I put it somewhere. It's in my Google Drive somewhere, or it's in an email somewhere, or maybe it's on a note on a desk, whether it's my desk or a coworker's desk. But there's so much information floating around in our small businesses that we really need to start getting organized and intentional about that information. Because when we do that, it helps reduce our amount of time we're left searching for the details. So here's a couple of things that TaxDome will do for you. First is everything is centralized here on this overview tab. You can see we have several tabs across the top. All of these are the components and functions or features, as you will, of the TaxDome system. So we have the documents, our document management system. We'll talk about that in a moment. Communications would be any chats that we send securely to the client portal. Organizers, we're going to talk about those in a moment too, but these are our forms and our information gathering tool that we have here in TaxDome. Requests are another one that's a new one here in TaxDome. We also have our invoices, which are the billing components of our client relationship. Emails, the cool thing about emails is it can actually be a mirror to all of your email inboxes for all of your employees. If you're having a conversation with a client and it's specific to a tax preparation such a detail or component that somebody who is a tax preparer needs to have, they can actually see your email interactions with that client within the client portal. Now, I can't show you that today because I don't actually have my system set up with someone beyond just my account, but that is really powerful to being able to open up the communication channels and not have information live in a silo in your email inbox and or team members' email inboxes when there's some detail that you need to have in order to perform the work that you need to be performed. So that's really great. The last one, we have engagement letters here. Notes is a great place to be able to just take generic notes on a client. This is a centralized note section that the client can't see, but all of your team members can. And then finally, our workflow or our jobs or the actual services that we have in action for that client, as well as our archived ones. So past jobs that we have done with them. So I want to share with you first the info tab. So the info tab is great too, because this is our CRM area. This is the place where we have the ability to add information custom to us and what our needs are. So you can see here on this left side, I have the account info section. The tags is an area that a lot of people kind of poo-poo in TaxDome, but I think it's really powerful. The way I would like for you to start thinking about tags in TaxDome is that tags in TaxDome are actually telling a story about your client. So you can see here that I have the advisory tag. I also have a representation tag, and I also have a 1040 tag. So I can now deduct from looking at these tags that this is an individual client who we've done advisory work and representation work in the past, or we are currently engaged for that. I can also see the years that they were active with us, as well as the fact that they're a virtual client. This is also information that we will use in our pipelines that we'll look at in a moment to create a custom client experience for my individual client based on this 1040 tag. So we can get really fancy in our automation and streamline things even more, reducing, again, the administrative effort of our team to allow TaxDome to do that for us. And you can see here, dependent name. So this is an example of a custom field. The custom fields allow us to gather information that's important to us. In the example of a dependent, it could be that I know that Kim and Andy have a kiddo or a couple of kiddos. And if I'm on the phone with them, if I don't recall what their names are, it reduces the amount of brain drain that we have in our day-to-day relationship and allows us to lean into the TaxDome system to help us keep straight. So I could have a field called dependent names, and I could have Jenny and Nick or their kids. And so when I reach out to Andy, I'm like, hey, how are Jenny and Nick doing? And I can stay connected to my client that way without having to rely upon my brain to keep all these minute details that are so exhausting to the small business owner. You can also add things like their address and make sure that you have that front and center and available to your team. Another example is the Google client or this client Google Drive folder. So if I'm using Google Drive to create worksheets and or other assets or resources that I need in the relationship that I'm having with someone, I could even have a link here in a centralized place in my TaxDome to allow my team to come here and know that they can click out from here directly into Kim and Andy's Google Drive folder so that they can get the workbooks that we've done with them, the spreadsheets that we've put together for them, and have quick access to those in the future if they ever need them. That way they're not going into the Google Drive and having to type and look. It just gives them a one-stop shop right here in the TaxDome system. So again, centralizing your information is the key to efficiency. The other thing I want to talk about is documents and document management. Because TaxDome has unlimited document management storage, you can actually keep all of your documents here. This can be your new document repository solution and allow you to make sure that you're meeting your documentation retention requirements right here at TaxDome without fear of there all of a sudden becoming this huge ballooning bill of storage costs for your small practice. So it allows you to be really efficient and mindful of your budget. TaxDome has a lot of opportunities here for us to make sure that we're keeping things streamlined. Couple of tips for you. We love the idea of having tax year folders at the parent level. So the parent level would be this client uploaded document, firm shared docs with client. Each of these has a different security level. The client uploaded documents, the clients can read and write, meaning they can upload and delete documents out of there, move them around, rename them, do all the things. The firm doc shared with client, though, this is a read-only folder for the client. So this is where we do our electronic signatures. This is where we would request approval of things. This is where we would upload our final return documents for the client to be able to access in the future if they ever need them and allow them to self-service their documents at future dates if they need them. The private folder is exclusive only to the firm. So the client does not see this folder, but it allows you to keep your working papers organized and allows you to make sure that you have all the documents retained that you need to have for your client, including any legacy documents. If you wanted to get rid of your old share file or wherever else you were storing, you might be paying a lot of money for, you could actually move those over to TaxDome, drop them right into the private folder and have easy access to them and be able to obtain any documents the client may be asking for in the future right here in the TaxDome system. So that is the importance of centralization. And I wanted to talk about that first because it really a concept that I think a lot of people are wanting in their businesses. And a lot of people are wishing that they had a more streamlined way of managing their information. That's the one beautiful thing about when you move to a new software or you decide to start using a software in a specific way. Having a system for managing those details is really key, and it gives you a fresh start, if you will. So if you've been wanting to get things organized, we can help you with setting that up and making sure that you are organized through our best practices and the things that we've learned from helping over 800 practices implement TaxDome and make that really smooth for you. The next thing I want to talk about is how do we gather those documents from the clients and how can we make sure that becomes streamlined? I know that is a huge pain point for so many small practices out there. And so I wanted to take a moment and share with you how we use the client organizers in TaxDome. But before I jump over to the organizers, I actually want to go into my pipeline. And I want to talk about the power of automation when it comes to things like the client organizers. There's a lot of people out there who have set up TaxDome or got it started, and they're not fully utilizing the automated pipelines in TaxDome. And this is a huge missing piece to their efficiency factor in their small practice. And I think that if you are using the TaxDome automated pipelines to their full extent, you are missing out big time. So let's talk about what that means. In TaxDome, these are pipelines. Pipelines are basically the process we're trying to take a client through, in this case, a tax preparation. Whether they're an individual or a business, we believe a tax prep should be in one pipeline. What this does is it allows us to drive the client through step by step our process, taking them from kickoff all the way through a complete return. This allows us to, one, keep our client organized, and we're making sure that clients are going through our standard process and nobody is missing an important step, and nobody is bypassing our engagement letter, for example, or our deposit. Everybody is expected to go through the process from beginning to end. A lot of people haven't had the system to be able to do this, and now you have it because of the TaxDome pipeline. You can ensure that every client, if they are at this stage here, documents requested, you know that they have signed the engagement letter, they have paid my deposit, they have gone through all the previous steps, and that is why they are now here. And they can't just bypass those things and just start sending you documents. They can, but you can always rein them back in and be like, no, this is our process now. We're going to send you an organizer where you can attach those documents you just uploaded for me and make sure that I get all the details I need. So let's talk about the organizer. The cool thing about TaxDome is because we can leverage automation, I can actually make it so that my individual clients are going to receive my individual client experience. My business clients are going to receive the business experience, leveraging conditional logic. Now, TaxDome uses tags. So you can see here, I have an E1040 tag on here, where I'm going to send this message to my individuals and this message here to my business client. Sorry, my big arrow is over the top of that, but it says e-business. And so I have two different paths, if you will, through my pipeline for the individual versus business. I'm going to send them my tax organizer, which is going to ask them all the questions. It's an asynchronous interview. It's going to gather all of the information that I need to complete a correct and accurate return based on the actual tax year events of this person. And it also will allow me to see any red flags that I need to make sure that I get more details on or go deeper with my client on. The other thing I'm going to do is get a client contact info. This is going to make sure that I have the latest details and information for my client in my TaxDome system so that I have correct mailing addresses. I know dependent changes, if they any filing status changes that they might have had. All of those details I can make sure that I am gathering through the client organizers right here, and they're automatically sent. I'm not having to send these out. And the really cool thing, it's going to remind them as soon as they receive that, it's going to remind them on a regular cadence that they need to get this done. As well, I'm going to also be sending them communications through my messaging, letting them know what the expectations are for deadlines and dates that they need to make sure that they're meeting so that they can take full advantage of our services without any hassles for them. All right. So once we send that organizer to the client, what do they experience? Let's take a look at that real quick. So this is an actual individual tax organizer, or as I mentioned before, the organizers are not your old school organizers. These organizers are an actual interview. So if you were ever in a practice where they would actually schedule appointments or wait for somebody to come in, they would sit down with them, they would ask them a lot of questions, they would compute all of that and do all the data entry. We've had clients, actually one of our clients, Edwin, he shared that he used to do it that way. Before he came and worked with us to set up his TaxDome to use it the way that we do in workflows with tax pros, he was actually sitting down with people and he was gathering their information and trying to take notes on all the things that he thought he needed to know based on the questions, standard questions that he would send. What he was finding is that he was missing details. And so he was ending up having to ask his client again about those specific things, or he was, not completing the form correctly. And he would then have issues or gaps in the information. The clients would point it out. He just felt like he was not hitting the marks. And so what he actually did is by having these organizers and building out organizers that ask thoughtful questions that are understandable to the client, he was able to actually probe deeper as needed. And I'll show you how we do that using the conditional logic function of TaxDome. So these organizers, while they can be really simple for a really simple return, they can also be really complex for for a client who has more complexity in their form, whether they own a small business or they have a rental or they have a farm. You can add all the questions that you need in order to make sure that you're getting all the details that you're needing to actually complete the return. And this is not going to have the client feel like they're filling in all of the data for you. This is asking thoughtful questions around what was your tax year like? Did you do this? Did you do that? If they answer yes or no to that, then we can ask further details, but they're not actually like keying in numbers for you. They're just telling you about their tax year. So you're going to not have that chance. You're not going to have that objection that a lot of people say, well, if I'm asking them to complete this form, they're going to feel like I'm asking them to do my job for them. No, you need to know about their tax year. That's what this asynchronous interview type form is going to do for you. Okay, so let's look at what this is. So you can see here, we have instructions for the client. You can see here, if I click on the section, these are all the sections that the client needs to fill out. Now, they're going to go pretty fast for a really simple client. But again, like I said, if they're more complex, then they will have more questions they need to answer based on their specific need. This is where we get to ask a question and then probe deeper if we need to. It's so powerful and it makes sure you get the information you need to complete your returns. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to just go to next and you're going to see here. So this is an opportunity for us to make sure our due diligence is met. Other than yourself or your spouse if married, will you claim any other dependents on your tax return? So this is a simple question, right? If I don't have kids, I say no and I move on. If I do have kids, it says yes, and it's going to ask me more details about my dependents that I'm going to file with. That is important for you to make sure that you're meeting your due diligence, and it allows your clients to not have to do a follow-up with you after you realize, oh, yes, they do actually have dependent. So this is a great way to, again, get the information. Okay, so we're going to go through here. We can ask optional questions. We can ask about the health insurance plans via the market and marketplace exchange. But here's where it gets interesting. So here we can start asking very specific questions around the client experience. I bought or sold a property. I refinanced my property. I made energy improvements, all of these things. So if they say, yes, these things apply to me, then we can ask more details. For example, if I click on the nanny one, it asks, requires a Schedule H for household employment to be completed. Do you have the details? I need those as well. But if I don't have any of that, again, we go to none apply and we move on. So employment wages, if I say employment wages, then it's going to say, great, please upload the tax documents to support any of the above selections. So now my client can come in here and they can select from my computer and upload their documents to support their return. And so a really cool feature that TaxDome just recently added is AI when it comes to these TaxDome organizers. So I'm going to go ahead and select from my computer, and I'm going to select this file that I have as a W-2. So I'm going to select it, and it's going to say, great, we're going to upload it. I'm going to select my folder, but look what it's going to do. So here's the original name. And here it says, no, this is actually a 990. So this is a sample account, right? So don't get too spun up on that. But this W-2, it was named W-2, but it identified it as a 2021 990. So TaxDome actually now has the ability to rename your document according to what is actually the document there. So it's really a great time saver, again, for your small practice when it comes to client uploaded document. And I will also add that if you have a problem with a lot of clients uploading images, like snapshot from their phones of documents, TaxDome mobile app makes this organizer process even smoother for the client. And it has a built-in scanner so that they can snap a button and take an actual PDF of the document that they're trying to upload to you in just a matter of 1 or 2 clicks. And it's really slick for the client. And it saves you a lot of time in converting JPEGs over to PDFs so that you can actually manage your work papers. Okay, so that is how the documents get uploaded to TaxDome. Now, as I reminded you, if the client has completed this far and they're waiting for another document, for example, the system is going to remind them that they need to actually get you more information because the organizer has not been submitted. So once they hit the actual submit button, those reminders will stop, but not until that is done. So we're actually able to automatically remind our client that they need to get us details so that we can actually complete the return that they have engaged us for. So that is what I wanted to show you on the organizer. One little detail about what these TaxDome organizers do is that they also will make sure that the client can't click the submit button until they have finished your required question. Once they have done that and they have worked through all of the required questions, you can see here, this was a question that was required when I hit the submit button and it required me to go back and answer them. That makes sure that clients don't send you incomplete organizers or forget to give you the important details, even if it's a, hey, yes, I need this, or I know that about this, or this does affect my tax year, but I don't have the details yet. That is great. And we can make sure that we can accommodate. So the next thing I want to show you is I want to show you the power of the automations again. So back to our pipeline before I hit submit on that organizer. You can see here, our clients are in the documents requested status of our pipeline, meaning that we have requested the documents of that. One of the things that's so powerful about TaxDome is we can actually assign out tasks to our team members through the TaxDome pipeline, making sure that people know exactly when they need to go and take action. And they're not spending their time following up on a specific client to see if that organizer came in or to see if we've gotten the details that we need. What's going to happen is when that submitted organizer comes in, it's going to move to our next stage, which is our stage of ready to review. So in this stage, we're actually going to assign a task to the person who is responsible for reviewing the document, whether that is the preparer or that is an administrative assistant or that is yourself. It's going to notify you that we have received document. The client's going to get a notice here too, as a quick email that says, hey, client, we got our documents and we're good. We're going to check them out, make sure we got everything we need. If we need anything, we'll be in touch. Basically, don't call us, we'll call you, email. Very kindly stated, though. So our clients know exactly where they're at in our process. But what's nice is that our team is not waiting to get notice of it's time to go and take action. So that's what our automated tasks will do in our pipeline. So what's going to happen is when I submit that organizer, this job is going to automatically move into that next stage. So let's see that in action. All right, I'm going to click submit. And it says, you sure? I'm going to click submit again. And now my job has moved to the next stage. And when I refresh this, it's going to send out my task to my team saying, hey, we need to go and take action. And so what this does is this task is here attached to the job, but it also will show up in my inbox plus as a task assigned to me. Here is the organizer. I was notified the organizer was completed. And now here is my review client documents. This was just completed as well. And I now know that I need to go and take action. In TaxDome, there's several places that you can go and view the tasks that have been assigned to you. Insights is one, pipeline is one. There's lots of different ways to work, and we cover all of how you can actually manage your day-to-day task management for yourself or your team members in our program, Workflows for Tax Pros. So I don't have time to jump into that today, but I wanted to show you how easily assigning out work to your team can be. And when you have things set up in your organizers, this allows you so easily to be able to reassign work to people. So say somebody gets sick and they're not able to come in and do the work that they need to do, and you need to reassign to another team member. All it takes is going into your list and you can see this is assigned to me. If I had another team member, I could reassign it to them and then they could go and take the action. It's now in their queue of work that needs to be completed. But having a centralized tool, an all-in-one tool like TaxDome, reduces so much of the running around your different tech items and tools that you're possibly using today, or even worse, the manual effort of moving a fold gets into the right hands so that it can be taken on action for that team member. TaxDome is going to create significant efficiencies amongst your team, resulting in more capacity to take on more high-paying clients, ideal fit clients, and you're going to find that you can increase your revenues, reduce your payroll, and do so many things that are going to benefit your practice long term. I wanted to share this with you today. So if you are a small team and you have additional questions or want to understand other aspects of how small teams can use TaxDome for more efficiency, I welcome your questions. So feel free to drop them below this video. And if you have other questions about TaxDome, we are absolutely the experts in the industry, and we would love to make sure that you get those answered. So feel free to reach out to us. You can find our contact info below this video, or feel free to send me a DM on Facebook. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in our next training.